Hi everybody, welcome to the 18th episode of Never Over the Hill. Today I am so excited to have my friend Nora Neiterman on. She is the creative director, brand strategist, and spiritual badass, founder of Unsweetened New York, which is actually the t-shirt that I'm wearing today. It says winning. And she's also wearing a smiley face gold sparkle t-shirt by her brand. And she came to talk about some really interesting things that are very close to my heart. And I'm going to pass the mic to her, and she's going to tell you a little bit about what Unsweetened is, what it was, what it is, and yeah, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Hillary. I'm so happy to be back. I did a trunk show with you last year, and it was kismet.
Yes.
We completely aligned,
yes.
And everything was great. And amazing what's happened in the year, because there's been a complete evolution of the brand. Unsweetened New York has always been a brand for t-shirts and sweatshirts and just kind of embracing what goes on in the life of women, mothers, the nitty, the gritty, the dirty, the happy. And it's just been an amazing labor of love and a love story of like how I started as a mom of like two little crazy boys.
When was this? What
this
year?
Was 2017 that I kind of had the idea.
Right.
And, or maybe it was 2015. I don't know. I had the idea in the mitten of like two little boys.
Right.
And like shopping in the dressing room, chaos. And I was like, oh, trying on shirts. And I'm like all sweating. And this one's crying and this one's crying. And my boob is hanging out and nothing fits and
right.
shitty texture. And
yeah.
I was like, it was stay calm or carry on the t-shirts.
Yeah. Yep.
And I was like, this is a fraud. Like,
oh my God, that word. Yes.
And carry on.
Yep.
Like, where's the brand for the women that are really trying to keep their shit together? And it was like that aha Oprah moment. I
yes.
was like, oh yeah, maybe this is what I should do, is create a brand that gives women permission to kind of wear like a mood ring for their body.
Oh my God, I love that.
Like my first t-shirt was Psycho Mother, Calm to Crazy, and because that's where I was. And I also had Love My Boys. Like that was probably our biggest seller, Calm to Crazy and Love My Boys. Biggest seller. So it's kind of like the yin and yang of being a woman and motherhood.
Yes.
It's like so amazing and beautiful,
yes.
and then it is gut-wrenchingly hard.
Yes.
So I wanted to marry that along with like my whole product development and design background. And that's how Unsweetened New York was born, with 10 tops out of the trunk of my car. And
that's the best. I love a story of where a woman is creating something that you want.
Yeah.
And then you're like, well, if I want it and I need this, someone else is going to want it and need it too.
Well, that's how I felt. I felt like there's other, and I had a great database of women, you know, like my friends. You see what's going on out in the world
right.
when you're at play dates, and you know, there's this like fine line of women keeping their shit together,
yep.
And you know, being like everything's amazing,
right.
And one day you might feel amazing, the next day you might feel like Psycho Mother. So that's how the brand started,
yes.
And it just it started as a side hustle to pay for my son needed to go to a special school for dyslexia. So I was like, I'm going to start this little side hustle and, you know, get some income to pay for that.
Yeah.
Never did I feel that it was going to grow into the Unsweetened that it was.
Yeah.
It was just a little side hustle.
Right, but those are the best are the best business stories. Like really, like I love hearing about people doing something because like a passion project.
Yeah.
But, you know.
It was definitely a passion project, and it kept being a passion project.
Yes.
It was like the ideas just kept, it was
right.
like effortless.
Right.
What was coming out of me. It didn't, and it was such a connection, and it was like, well, of course, this is the next line. And then
it probably connected you to other people constantly.
100%.
And
it just kept, I would get emails. I wore the, you know, I'm done I'm done tank top to my divorce agreement, and I felt empowered under my Veronica Beard blazer. You know, like I would get all this input, and and it was amazing, and it continues to be amazing. But along the line of growing this brand from 10 shirts in the car to a showroom and a showroom on the West Coast and 5 lines a year, and it's all like, it's like a freight train, right? And you're just like, oh, and you can't stop. Go.
Yeah.
And now sitting here, I can honestly say that it nearly killed me on multiple levels of, it's like a spoiler alert. I feel like
so I want to talk about the pivot that you've made, and I really want to focus on that. But before we go into what the brand is now, and how you've arrived at that new, you know, what is the word, like evolution. I want to ask you some style questions, and then we're going to get more into the nitty gritty of the evolution. So do you have a daily uniform?
Yes. I do have a daily uniform. It's two uniforms. I start my day with, like most women, with a pair of black leggings.
Okay.
And a kind of like long sleeve or tank top of like a little workout shirt. I do my walk and my, like every other perimenopausal woman, the weighted vest. I'm rocking that now. And so that's my uniform for the morning, and a unsweetened hat.
Nice.
And then in the afternoon, I love jeans and a top, unsweetened top with like a little pullover, my Royal Native jacket.
Yes, it looks
I love
so good.
to layer a ton of jewelry, and I love more is more.
Okay. Yeah, I love that. Yeah. So you're not one of those people who like gets dressed and you're like, wait, I have to take something off. You're like, pile it on.
I'm like, pile it on. Yeah. More eyeliner, more everything.
I'm obsessed with your eyeliner. It gives a little rock and roll edge.
I like one time I was going to, this is a side note, I was going to a parent teacher and I saw a mom and she's like, you have so much eyeliner, it looks like you're going to a nightclub. And I took it as a compliment. I was like, fucking A.
Totally.
Yes, that's amazing.
Yeah. I love that.
But I like I like more.
Yep. Yeah. I love more is more. Okay, so then do you have a name for your style?
I don't know. It kind of moves from, sometimes it's like dark and badassy to more boho-y badassy or edgy. I think more edgy.
Okay. Yeah, because I was actually just going to say, if you don't have a name, just describe your style in like 3 words or 3. So I feel like you just kind of
I think it's seasonal. I think in the winter, I'm all about dark and black. Okay. And then in the summer, I come to life like on every level. Yes. And I'm more colorful and, fun and flirty.
Right.
And,
So like a little more bohemian in the summer.
A little more bohemian. I'm channeling like, kind of deadhead, kind of not, like...
Yes.
A combination of like all
Is there like an era that we should think of? Like, no. Not 60s, 70s. No, I feel like you incorporate all of the decades.
I don't really have there's not any type of style that I just like to mix. I love texture. I love pattern. I also love solid.
Yeah.
And I love combining different textures together.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. Like layering the jewelry. And I love all the sparkle. Like, I think what first drew me to you and your brand was the sparkle.
Yeah.
Like, my t-shirt, you actually made this for me custom. Yep. It says winning. And I just think it's like, it's funny to me. It's got a sense of humor, and that's the brand has a sense of humor.
Yes.
And I feel like that's so important.
Yeah.
Because you can't take yourself too seriously, and like all your stuff is like has like an edge and like a little sense of humor to it.
Oh, I mean, sense of humor is everything. Like I think about like just our household, in our household with my boys who are now teenagers, like we all have this kind of like sick sense of humor, and thank God.
Yes.
Like, thank God.
Totally.
And the brand definitely, definitely has that.
Yeah.
So, I would just say I like, just refreshing, and I think it can change.
Yes.
Like, one of the things about the evolution of the brand is like, it's okay to change.
Yes. Totally. Okay, we're going to talk about that too. I want to know first, did your style growing up or fashion growing up influence your career choice?
That's a great question. No. I don't know what kind of style sense I actually had growing up.
Right.
Music was a big driver of how I dressed. I was like this little kind of, it wasn't called goth. It was like, we used to call it chicken head. I don't know if that's like even PC anymore.
It
I don't
doesn't
know.
matter.
It was
We're
like,
not very
you know,
PC
like the
on
Cure.
here.
Okay. You know, it was like alternative, like
Okay.
the Cure, Depeche
Yep.
Mode.
Yes.
I had like, you know, shaved head, the Doc Martens.
Yes.
So music really inspired my fashion. Like when the grunge movement came in college, I was all about like flannels.
Oh my God, I love that era.
Yes, like
that era
flannels.
was...
And again, those Doc Martens would come into play. So I think, and even now still, it's like, I think music infuses a lot of my, not only design decisions, but my style decisions.
Right. Okay. So then what did you go to school? Like, did you go to college for something?
Yes. I went to FIT.
Oh, so then I mean, a little bit. It sounds like it did influence.
I know, but I didn't have like a fashion identity back then. It was just kind of like,
But you wanted to do something in,
yes. I went to FIT for illustration.
Okay.
And so I've always been an artist. I've always been a designer. But I never really took it that serious. Like I was just like, I like to have fun. Yeah. That was always like, I had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And
that's my favorite quote, the Kate Moss quote. Do you know that one?
No.
I think she says, why the fuck can't we have fun all the time?
Oh, so true.
Yeah.
Yes. So it wasn't like I was like on this, you know,
trajectory.
Oh, no.
Like,
I was like just having a great time. And it was just kind of like, yes, fashion school. I got my illustration degree. And then I started working at a textile company. Okay. And I became a textile designer. And then I was there a long time, met my husband. And then I went out on my own and I started a company called NN Design and Color, which is still kind of the umbrella company of Unsweetened.
Okay.
And I designed all for home furnishings. So I would design all product development and whole packages for the juvenile business and babies, cribs, bumpers.
Oh, wow.
You know, so I didn't do the manufacturing, but I did all of the design and coming up with all of these product developments.
Right.
So I've always been in this world, and it's always been, I've always supplied a product.
Which can be really stressful.
Which could be really stressful.
Yeah. Yep. Actually, I think that what I've noticed in my life and in every single person that I've had on this show is that interior design, fashion design, music, art, like they're all so intertwined and woven together that it's like they all influence, you know, each other.
Yeah,
and like,
for sure.
Okay, so I really want to dive into this conversation. So Nora wrote a little, it's about you, a little something about, and it says, from having it all to healing, and having it all is in quotes, the cost, the conversation women need now. So I still have some questions for you, but I would like to talk about this because this is something that is so dear to my heart and so close to what I'm going through right now also. So we're going to like take a little break from the questions that I usually ask so that you can talk a little bit about, let's have this conversation.
Yeah, so this conversation is, you know, over the last, I would say, you know, COVID, right? From COVID on, you know, the brand, we actually did well over COVID because everyone was living in t-shirts and but it just it moved in a different direction, and I started doing a lot more custom. I started doing a lot more you know, just different things that aligned more with where I was at.
Okay.
And each collection, there were 5 collections a year, I always felt so like it was like flowing out of me. And then there came a point where it wasn't flowing, but you keep pushing.
Yes.
Right? Like,
Right.
it's like, I felt for me that I was on this hamster wheel of just like, go, 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 hustle,
Right.
hustle, hustle, go, go, go. And I didn't know it at the time.
Right.
That's the thing, is like, you don't really know it.
Right.
You feel something unaligned, but you don't know what it is.
Did you feel like you had to produce
Oh,
and you
100%.
weren't feeling as inspired,
Yes.
and so it just
Yes.
didn't feel good?
It didn't feel good, but at the end, but I was still, the company was growing, and I kept hearing those words, which I actually hate this word, scale.
Yeah, I hate it too.
You're scaling. You need to scale, and it just chipped little pieces away at me, and just like the brand was here, and we were doing all the things, and it was all moving in such a great direction.
So
but
did you still have creative control? Like,
yes,
okay, so
I was still creating everything, but there was a lot of input from different external places
Right.
where I had to become, I had to become other things.
yes,
And I did, and I kept going, but behind the scenes, behind the beautiful lookbooks and the photo shoots and the Instagram, there were a lot of pieces that nobody saw.
Right.
There were my mom dying, my father dying, all the different
Wow.
things that you don't take into consideration when you're building a brand or you're.
and
you
you
know,
are well.
I am the
you
brand.
are the
Yeah,
brand.
I mean,
so
it's-
that's really what it is.
Right.
Is that you don't have that freedom. You have freedom creatively, but then you don't have the freedom to just fall apart.
You can't fall apart.
Yeah.
And so what happens when you can't fall apart and you keep it together like Humpty Dumpty, like eventually you just like it became so much to hold. And I still didn't realize it. I still didn't know it. And until your nervous system starts feeling like I don't know what this stands for anymore.
Right.
And
You feel like unsafe almost.
yeah, and you don't know how, it feels uncomfortable, and you're holding it all, right? And it's like it's how do I continue to hold it all, and how do I show up for my kids, show up for my husband, show up for myself. And so instead of like listening to maybe a lot of warning signs, there were a lot of
Right.
years of warning
Right.
signs. I kept going
Right.
in a tremendous amount of effort and hustle.
I hate that word too.
Hustle.
Yeah,
It used to be on my Facebook how
Yeah.
I described myself.
Yeah.
And I wore it like a badge of honor.
Yes.
And it's almost uncomfortable to even talk about, because it was so much my identity of like, I was so proud of this kind of thing that I created and the workhorse that I had become. And I couldn't even see beyond that.
Right.
It was just like, and I didn't know how to not, it just kept going.
Right.
I couldn't get off of
Right.
it. And I was afraid to get off because, well, what would it look like?
Right.
Is that going to mean I failed? Is that going to mean I'm not, producing? Are people going to think that, it
That
was,
you gave up. Or
yes,
yeah.
it was like all of this ego and
Right.
the what will people think?
Oh my God.
If
Yep.
I take a break or I miss a season, or so instead of missing a season or whatever, it's just I kept going and going until I literally was like, I can't go anymore. I can't go anymore. I need to just take a minute, take a beat, let myself kind of figure out what's going on here internally.
Right.
I was also like, I had built into my day this night shift, which was like, get the kids to bed, 10:30 at night, start working again till like 3:30 in the morning.
Oh my God.
But like, I'm not talking about for a day or a week. I'm talking for like a few years. And
Yeah. Lack of sleep will make you lose your mind.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it was just so much that, but I'm grateful because it allowed me to get in touch with really what was going on inside. And what was going on inside was that the reality was that a lot of the things that made me want to do Unsweetened and like drove me were kind of like I didn't know how I felt anymore.
Right.
And I almost felt like I wasn't showing up authentically, right? And I was like, well, how do I continue to show up authentically as I always did? How do I come up with these great one-liners when I don't feel it inside?
Right. So this is not when you started. This is more recently.
Yeah,
that you
this
started.
is right.
So you felt that way in the beginning. That was like, what you started your brand to connect, to get, like, to show up authentically,
Yes.
and then it became so far away,
became like a
removed
machine.
from yourself, right?
Yes.
So then you were like, okay, I need to get. Finally, you realized that you needed to get back to who you were, and it's so interesting because I talk about this all the time. Is that like we change,
Yes,
and grow, and we're in a different place than when we both
100%.
started our brands. My kids were 1 and 3 when I started Royal Native, and like I have changed so much in those 12 years, and that's what you're supposed to do.
Yes.
But when you don't allow yourself that like space to grow and change, and the reason people want your stuff is because of you, because you're authentic, and because you are, and then when you don't feel like you don't have the space to do that anymore, it's like,
and then you get in your head, you get in your head about, oh, well, what am I never ever felt, what am I supposed to do?
Right.
It was just this alignment of like this, it just, when you're in flow, I know it sounds so kitschy,
no, it
but
doesn't.
it's like
it doesn't
when
at all.
you are in flow, it just is this beautiful progression of like everything.
Yeah.
And when you're, and that's what I'm grateful for, is I realize now when I'm not,
Yes.
it's like a fuck no.
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
it is like, no,
Yes.
I'm not doing that.
I just read somewhere on Instagram, it was like, when it's a yes, it will give you energy, and that is how you know.
Yes,
and it makes so much sense.
It makes so, and once you kind of start living your life like that, it's like, well, yeah, of course.
Right.
But when you're not there, and I think, one of the things that I as the brand has evolved, I was doing all the things. I was doing the e-com and this and that, and then I realized, you know what? I have changed so much inside of myself that it's time for my little baby to change.
Yes.
I'm not the same mom who was like,
frantic
and doing, I'm not her anymore. There's been all of this change in 10 years of me, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And the version that I am now as a designer, and I feel that and I can go to the place in my head that it's like, well, you did all this, like you built all this.
Yes.
Now what? Like, you have to nurture this to the next thing, and I've kind of surrendered that to be like, I'm just going to put myself in rooms with awesome fucking people, and I'm going to speak my truth, and even though I might not have a product, so to say, to deliver my message, I still have the message.
Yes.
And so I've always been, producing a product.
Well, now I want to know what I'm sure everyone's like, well, what are you doing now? Like, tell us, like, what it is now.
Yeah. So what it is now. So I, that whole kind of mindset of just putting yourself out there, going to different places, and just, allowing your mind to think of possibilities of like, this could be, and it could be more than what you think.
Yes.
So I started working, like one event took me to met this person and, introduced me to this person. And it's just this kind of like ripple effect that I got involved in sports merch. And I got involved in, like, through my boutique business or my West Coast showroom, I got into, the hotel business. So designing amazing, it's the same stuff. It's the same Unsweetened.
Right.
And it's the same message to really empower women, whether it's game day or, resort wear, or, it's just in a different kind of, it's not as in your face and like edgy and badassy as it was when I was selling in boutiques.
Okay. So you're not doing wholesale for boutiques anymore.
I am, but it's on. I'm not providing. I'm no longer coming out with a whole collection.
Okay.
With a lookbook and all of that. I'm doing, synergistic collaborations with, boutiques or companies.
Like, tell us like a hotel that you're working with.
So Canyon Ranch.
Oh my God.
So
wow.
Yeah, we do all the properties for Canyon Ranch.
And so so let's say, okay, so you go into a meeting. Mm-hmm. And do you say, this is what I think it should look like?
Yeah, so one of the things that I love is to be able to really kind of brainstorm, look at a brand, and then infuse it with what Unsweetened does. Like, how can we bring the experience? Mm-hmm. Like, it's all about the experience. How do we bring the experience to the guest? And the female guest. Like, it's about the female guest, like, going into a Canyon Ranch experience and being like, oh, I want this,
I want to go to Canyon Ranch.
I know,
right now.
I know, me too. And maybe that's our next podcast,
oh my God,
right?
yes.
But so
live from Canyon Ranch. Which one are we going to?
I know. So I think that's a great idea. I could reach out to them. That would be great. But so Canyon Ranch, the Colony Hotel.
Oh my God, so Beach. Cool, yes.
We just did an amazing collection with them with trucker hats and a great shirt.
Oh, I saw that.
Coming out, yeah.
And they also do a lot of like pop-ups with female businesses. Yes. I was asked to do one last year, but I didn't go, but it's such a great place. It's such a great hotel. So you're doing more of collaborations.
More collaborations, but the same energy and the same I'll design a whole collection, then we'll do samples, and I love that. I'm just like inside my core is I'm a designer. I love brands. I love
ideas.
Building. Yeah. I love building, and I love color and texture, and and that's why we can sit and talk shop forever, because it's like it's all of those things infused.
Yeah.
And what I'm doing now, which is different from being on the hamster wheel, the fashion hamster wheel of the calendar, is I'm just like doing things that feel right. Like I'm so mindful of how I feel.
Yes.
I want to feel like if something doesn't feel right, I'm not doing it.
Yes.
And
oh my God, bravo. I love that.
And I think the messaging is like where I'm at now is really no different from where I started with Unsweetened.
Right.
And it's like, I remember one of my shirts had a little blurb, and it was like, it's never too late. It's actually going to be the Instagram post today. And it's like, for women who have followed my brand and who like really are, connected in this community, and it's a demographic of like 35 to 70, which is the most kick-ass demographic, is like, it's not too late to change your mind, to start again.
Did you see the thing that I posted the other day? It was like Forbes, like something about the Forbes 500 list or something. Like, there are most of the women who are on it have started their companies after 50.
Oh, I love that. And because think about the wisdom.
Yes.
Like, I just feel like much more powerful now. I feel better than fucking ever.
Yeah.
Like, it's like the 40s, it's like you're on this teeter-totter of emotional. Right. And then the perimenopause hit. It's like, this clusterfuck of like all of this coming here. And that's the thing. It's like we're told we can have it all. But nobody talks about what the cost
price
is.
You pay.
And nobody talks about, you see the Instagram, you see this, and look, I'm so proud of my Instagram. I love it. I'm about the aesthetic. I'm about, all of it.
Right.
But behind, what I want women to know is that behind all of that, there is a story.
There's blood, sweat, tears. There's
and you don't know
loss,
it, and we can be so caught up with how everything looks and how it all is so perfect. And it's not.
I literally just wrote it. We are so connected because I just wrote So I started a blog on my website, on my new website.
I love the new website,
by the way.
I love it.
Thank you. It's I feel like it's kind of like you too, like the vibe of it.
I
feel
it's
like goes,
awesome. I love it.
But I said, a wise person once said to me, and I think it was my meditation teacher, but it stuck with me, that it's not what your life looks like, it's what it feels like.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes.
And that's exactly what you're saying.
And once you can kind of get to that place, and it took me a while to get to this place.
Right.
It didn't just happen. It was a lot of, I wouldn't have been able to sit here last year and talk about this because my ego was too involved.
Yeah.
It was too much about, what does this look like? What will people think? And when you release that and you really go back to your heart,
Right.
and it's like that's what is my North Star now, you know, and it just feels great, and I'm loving, like, just being able to collaborate with different, you know, professional sports teams and bringing amazing merch to the women, the forgotten female fans that are like have worn like crap all these years. So, and I don't know what's coming next.
Right. But isn't that amazing?
And that is the
because
best
you
part.
have this like trust that whatever's coming is going to be aligned for you, because you're
100%.
not just trying to like feed the machine and just, there's no more like hustle culture. Like
there's
that's
no
dead.
more. There's no more, and it's never coming back. Like
Right.
I just never ever want to be in that place where, like, I remember one of my sons came into my office and I was up, and it was like I was grinding, and I was just, he was like, "Mom, why are you still up?" And it was like 3 a.m, and I was like, and it could make me cry because I said in such a way that I was like so proud. I was like, well, of course I'm up. Like, this is what you do. Like, someday you're going to think, oh, my mom, I remember. Someday you're going to remember, wow, my mom worked so hard. She was up at 3 a.m. And I remember that conversation, and I'm like, God.
Yep.
Like,
you've had such a perspective shift on it.
Like, that is not what it, and believe
That's not
me, there's
the goal of,
not the goal at all. Like,
Right.
if there's one thing I want them to remember, it's not me fucking grinding at 3 a.m. It's not that at all. Yes, it's building the brand and the hard work and the devotion it takes, and you can do anything.
Yes.
But that moment, I'd like to take back.
But you know what? I think that moment is such a powerful moment, because if you didn't have that moment, you wouldn't have the other side of the moment.
I know.
It's like all of the mistakes that we make and all of they're not mistakes, because like, you know, in order to like know one feeling, you have to know the opposite of the feeling.
100%. Yeah.
So you can't, you know, it's such a lesson for your son, and also for you to be able to be like, okay, so that's not the goal. That's not what success looks like.
Right.
But I had to do that in order to realize that that's not what I want.
Yeah. No, I mean, I wouldn't, if I could go back, I wouldn't do anything different, because it wouldn't have brought me to this place.
Exactly.
And the place that I'm now, I mean, I never in my life even knew I could feel peaceful.
Yes.
I could feel like aligned. I could feel that there's possibility around every corner, and that there's just so much possibility.
Yes. But it's like a calmer possibility.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like there's like a sense of calm.
Yes.
I feel like you're taking the words right out of my mouth, like how I would explain things the way that I've been feeling. So I'm just so happy that you're here to like talk about this. And I almost feel like there's like I just said this before we started recording, but like I actually feel like there is a podcast in this conversation. This, you know, one soul conversation is from having it all to healing. What's the cost, and how do we get to the other side of it? But I also want to ask you some other questions about like
let's hear
what
them.
we want to know. So I feel like I don't know how to. This conversation is so important, but I also want to.
No, it could be everything.
Okay,
it could be
cool.
everything and anything.
Yes. So, when you get dressed, what is the most versatile piece in your wardrobe?
That's a great question. I'm definitely a blazer person.
Yeah.
So I would say my blazer collection. I love to rock an unsweetened, and now I like to call them vintage because they're kind of like,
They're
you know,
originals,
give it
yeah.
a little, a little
Totally.
zing. So I love to wear a great, you know, retrofit blazer or Veronica Baird blazer, and then just like under, you know, put a cute unsweetened t-shirt.
What's like your favorite vintage unsweetened t-shirt?
Oh, I think I just sat down because it just, it's like, if that doesn't like tell the story
Yep.
of exactly
Motherhood?
what, yeah, I mean, I love that. I mean, there's so many, I
Yeah.
don't know, there's so many that I just, and it's like, I have to feel it that day. And then
Right.
there's some I don't want to wear.
Yes.
It's like, there's some that I'm like, ooh, I'm not there anymore.
Right.
Like all the ones about like, I don't know, it's just, there's a lot more to unpack
Totally.
there. But,
Okay. All right,
you
but
know,
blazer is your most versatile.
blazer for sure.
Versatile with a
blazer,
t-shirt.
jeans, yeah.
Yes. Okay. So what is? Oh, this kind of just goes right into that. When you have to when you have an event to go to and you want to look your best, what are you reaching for? Like, what is the piece in your closet?
Black for sure. I'm reaching for something like sleek. Probably another like maybe dressier blazer, a pair of black a long line, just black, and maybe a little pop of color.
Okay.
With I love a big chandelier earring,
Okay.
and maybe hair up, and just kind of like more classic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like you're not a dress person. You're not like
I do love a dress.
You do love a dress.
I love a maxi dress. All summer long, I'm in a maxi dress.
Okay.
But for
like
more,
what style maxi dress?
definitely like more colorful prints. Summer I love color and prints.
Okay.
But you won't see me in any color or prints in the winter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're a seasonal dresser.
Seasonal dresser, for
I
sure.
also, that's like very common thread for people. Like I feel like most of the people I've had on are also very much like they dress one way in
Yeah.
the winter and another way in the summer.
Yep.
And I feel like that's cool because it like speaks to like your personality.
Oh, for sure.
And your mood.
Yeah, definitely
know?
the mood. I mean, I think we're all, especially in the Northeast, we're a different person.
Totally.
Do you ever look at a picture of yourself in the summer, in the winter?
Yes.
And you're like, oh my God, how do I get back to that
Yes, yes,
person, right?
yes,
It's
all the
like,
time.
and
Yep.
you're all pasty and
Yep,
pale
yep.
and in black. But so I definitely am a seasonal,
Yeah.
for
Yes,
sure.
right.
Yeah.
Okay, what was a style or outfit mistake that you made in the past that you're like, oh my God, I cannot believe I wore that?
That would have to be my 8th grade picture. I wore this terrible sweatshirt that said Delhi, like SUNY Delhi. My brother had like gone there, and
Yeah.
it was just the worst possible. It wasn't like a cool retro sweatshirt. It was just so bad. That was definitely one.
Even though, like, I feel like college sweatshirts were like in
No,
style
this was
then.
not
Okay.
in, and the hair wasn't in. I think my mom had given me a home perm, so
Oh my
it just
God.
kind of, it was
Yes.
just not a good look.
All right.
And then, I mean, there's had to have been a million different more. I mean, going through, adolescence and puberty as a girl, there's lots of,
Yeah, middle
and even
school.
as an adult, I mean, I think that I can't think of many, but that picture was,
Do you have a picture of it?
I'm sure somewhere.
Okay.
That would be great for the podcast.
So great. I know I always try to have
Oh,
my guests
yeah, that would
send me
be-
the funny picture.
That would be amazing.
Yeah, if you
I've
can
got to
find
find.
it.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
I've got to find it. That would be perfect.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so then what is your best style memory? Like your most memorable look that you've worn something special?
Yes. So to a wedding, I wore this beautiful, kind of had a mock. It had like some beautiful stones, and it had a gorgeous neckline. It was like a halter, and a long black like formal dress. Stunner.
Who made it?
I don't know. It was like, it wasn't anything like crazy
Right.
chic. It was just something that I think I might have even gotten it at like one of those off-price Saks or something like that. It was like something.
Do you still have it?
I still have it. Yeah. And that picture in particular, I remember I just looked so great because I think this is when I was like suffering from Lyme disease. And so I was like an extra layer of like thin. And I mean, it was just like that dress, it was amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So were you feeling good or you were not?
I don't remember, but the picture, I remember, I remember the dress looked great.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Okay. I want to see a picture of that too, if you have that.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. I remember that.
Let's see okay. So what is a look that you will never be over? Something that either you wore or something that like, you remember from a magazine or a photo shoot or something that like sticks in your head is like the look.
Wow. I don't know. I mean, I love a good like moto jacket.
Okay.
A black moto jacket with like a pair of awesome jeans and just like chains, rips. I love that kind of like badassy vibe, tough, but also pairing it with some like nicer, like little softer pieces. That leather and lace kind of look. I love that.
Okay.
Yeah, I love a good moto jacket and
that like really spans like many decades.
Yes, many decades. And I love the look of Lenny Kravitz, like what he pairs together and his whole vibe and like I love that.
I love his even his house, like when you see his like his homes have been in magazines and like he's got a great sense of design.
I mean that guy is like,
and his like flared leather pants. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I love that look always.
And I love that he embraces he has this like, creative liberty to just, I love that when people just rock their shit.
Yes.
Like I love when I see someone walking down the street and they have a sense of style. They're wearing the hat or they're wearing the glasses and like just stepping out of the comfort zone and just,
being themselves
and rocking it. Like nothing. I love the confidence that people have in fashion.
Yes.
And it just is like, it just makes me want to meet them and know their story. And like, it's, there's, when someone rocks that fashion confidence, it's like...
Sorry, there's a little work going on upstairs. I don't know what that
It gives a little texture to the sound quality.
Well, I actually feel like what you're saying about when you see someone and they seem like their authentic self, like I literally feel like it goes back to this conversation that we were having before about when you lean in, because what I actually feel like with brands and with influencers, quote unquote, and these social media people that you see, I'm turning 48 years old, and I feel like back when I first started the brand, I wanted to appeal to the broadest, amount of people.
Right.
And I was always looking outward to figure out what I should be doing. And when the brand started to really take off is when I started to look inward and figure out what I wanted, because we each have our gift to what we're bringing to the world. And when we get a little older, I think, if you're lucky, you get to have this inward look. And then I think when brands and influencers are getting paid or you can tell that there is this, it's fake.
Yeah.
And then I don't want that.
Right.
I don't want to buy something that feels not real and not authentic. So I think that's such a gift that we have both had that moment where, years and years of just doing what we think we're supposed to be doing so that we don't fail.
I know that fail word is so, I know, it's so true what you're saying. It's like, if you can just pay attention to how you're feeling, like, my New Year's post was like, how do you want to feel this year?
Yeah.
And let that be your guide.
Yeah.
And, I think a lot of this, like, I would not have been ready to hear this 5 years ago.
Totally.
I believe that where I'm 51, and just like where I'm at, and just the lineage of my design career, like I just feel like total badass now. I'm like, anything's fucking possible.
Yes.
You know, there's so much opportunity out there, and I feel more than ever, the more authentic I am about my story, not just what's out there like for the brand, but behind the brand. I think that's where the magic is.
Yep.
And I
totally
think that
agree.
for women in general, like if we just get more comfortable with really just speaking our truth, then the possibilities are amazing.
That is 100% true.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay, so I'm going to ask you one extra question because of, I like to ask a question for the person who's on. And then we have 3 final questions.
Okay.
So top 3 T-shirts that you've ever designed. And they can be like something that doesn't align with you anymore, but like top 3.
Yeah. Definitely Psycho Mother.
Okay.
I mean, without that, I wouldn't even have the brand.
Right.
That would be definitely one. Love My Boys, which was my kind of North Star too. And I would say my Happy Face, which is our best seller of all time.
And my favorite.
Yes.
I love smiley faces.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, those are, and I see the happy face. I see it around.
Yeah,
it's cool.
It's a lot.
It's like what you're kind of like known for, maybe.
Yeah, which is so funny because, and it's funny that it ended up in that we're known for happy faces, because there was a part of the brand that was so not about that. Right? It started off like fucking calm, like don't be calm, don't be happy. Like, so it's interesting how the evolution of that, and
well, maybe the word happy and maybe the definition of happy has changed.
Well, it
so
has.
It's still a smiley face. But
it has. And I think the messaging that I want to kind of, there's so much chaos going on in the world, and I want to try and spread more happiness.
I love that.
Because there's enough of everything else going around.
Exactly.
And through laughter and through fun. Like, like I don't want to be a watered down version. I'm still like a smart ass and badassy and edgy and, all of that.
And
but
you can have all the sides.
You can.
The light, the dark.
You can have all the sides. And that's the mood ring of the brand. And that's the mood ring of me, you know. And for women, I think it's important to know that you don't have to fit into a box. You know, you can be a doctor and also want to create something. Like we're put in these boxes and we're like, oh, I'm this.
Yes.
I'm this.
Right.
Like even being on this podcast and sending this to you, I was like, well, I'm not a speaker, but why can't I be?
Yeah,
like,
and you are, because we have conversations, and this is what I actually find that most people want to hear these days is a conversation. It's not being told more information, because I'm big into like quotes and like whatever, but someone wrote on Instagram the other day that we humans in 2025, we receive more information in one day than a person in the 1700s did in the entire course of their life.
Oh my God, that's wild.
Yes.
There's so much input.
And we're not supposed to be able to process this much information. So
well, that explains a lot.
Yes, exactly. So almost like tuning a lot of it out.
Yeah.
We're not supposed to know all the sadness and heartbreak that there is in the world. We cannot process it as humans. That is basically what's wrong with us. There's nothing wrong with us. It's all of the other stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so
there's one other shirt.
Oh,
sorry to digress. There's that whole thing. There's one other shirt, that Unsweetened shirt, that is one of my favorite, and it's like still holds very true. It's "Go Where the Love Is," and that is one of my favorites because it's so true.
It's so true.
Like I'm telling my boys this. I'm like, guys, in all your life, if you can just go where the love is, it's going to be the right place.
Yeah.
And love in a very broad sense, not so much,
not like romantic
love, but love,
yes.
like like that feeling that you feel good.
Yes.
Like if it doesn't feel good,
right. I know. That's why sometimes I'm like, if you don't want to do your homework, don't.
Yeah.
Sorry to the teachers who are listening.
I know. And that's a whole other podcast,
I know.
right?
Oh my God. I think maybe we really should have a little offshoot
I know.
podcast.
I think this will be great. It'll be nice to hear what people want to hear. Because there's so many layers. This is a high level of like kind of, this type of thing and behind the brand.
Right.
But I don't know. I just feel like women in particular, our age group, and, like it's important to let people know they're not alone.
Yes, 100%, which is why I started this podcast.
Yeah.
I wanted to do it through like a lens of style.
Yeah.
But really, it's more because I want people to listen and be like, I remember that.
Yeah.
I had that outfit, or I remember that 8th grade photo, or whatever it is. And then it starts a conversation, and then you have a connection. And that's the entire point of this podcast and like basically my life.
Yeah.
Okay, so we could really go on, and I like, there's so many more questions that I have for you, but I think I have no idea how long we've been talking for, but I'm going to ask you the 3 last questions.
Okay.
What is the first thing you do in the morning?
The first thing that I do in the morning is I think in my head the 5 things I'm grateful for right at that moment.
Awesome. Do you write them down?
No, I just think about it.
It's just enough to...
It just grounds me to like, okay, it's all right.
Yep.
Like, look what and simple things. Simple.
And this is why you wake up in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I love that. I feel like gratitude is just the most important.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is the last thing you do before you go to bed?
The last thing I do before I go to bed is take my magnesium. Magnesium and my what is that other thing called? Progesterone. And sadly, if we're being 100% honest, I look at that fucking phone, which is the next thing I'm going to try and start doing. Is not. That's gotta change.
It changed my life when I started sleeping with my phone in the bathroom.
I've heard that. Yeah. I know Mel Robbins was talking about that. I need to do that. And it's all the next step of everything. But yeah, so sadly, I look at my phone.
Total
the
authenticity.
magnesium, and
Yeah,
I
actually started sleeping with the bottle of magnesium next to my bed because otherwise I have to get up. I have to go downstairs.
Mine's next to my bed, and I don't know about you, but and I think a lot of women, the nightstand is like an absolute fucking shit show.
I try to clean off the back of my. I have like a wood. My dad designed, well, actually he made my bed, and it's got like a wooden platform behind, and I have to clean it off because books and journals and books and crystals and, my sleep oil and my moon lotion and my lip balm and but I have to clean it off every now and then because I actually feel like when it's too cluttered, it affects my sleep. And I have 3 sleep masks that I have like under my pillow. Yeah. Because I need total darkness.
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah, the nightstand. That could be a podcast.
That
like
could totally
what
be a
women
podcast.
have on the nightstand.
Oh my God, I love it.
So much shit.
Yes.
Yeah.
What's on your nightstand?
Yeah.
That could be another question. Okay, well, we already talked about it. So, okay, last question is, what do you sleep in?
What do I sleep in? So I sleep in these awesome like cotton, like I get them at J. Crew, like a little pajama pant, like they're thin little cotton, and then I sleep in, of course,
an old
t-shirts.
T-shirt.
Yeah. Okay. So that's yeah.
All right. I actually I got a t-shirt from you that says California Dreamin' on it.
Yes.
And it's very soft.
Yes.
And I like to wear it out, but sometimes when I wear it during the day, I just go to sleep in it at night.
Yeah, they're super soft. Yeah. And one thing, another like just great little tidbit as we're talking about the things in the world, the tariffs. Yeah. Unsweetened is made in the U.S., always has been. I'm proud of that.
Amazing.
Nobody really gave a shit about that for a very long time, but people care now.
Yep. They sure do.
So, but that's on another podcast, but yeah.
Okay, amazing. This was by far the most in-depth, authentic conversation that I have had on this podcast, and I really appreciate you for bringing this whole topic up. And I just, I want everyone to know where to find you.
Yes.
And so you can just...
So you can find me at Unsweetened New York.
and is New York spelled out, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
spelled out. And also, which is a new development, I made my own personal Instagram, which is completely blank because for the life of me, I can't figure out. I'm trying to.
Well, you should be sticking this on there.
Yes,
right
probably
now.
I should be, but I'm also trying to come. I've always like been in front of behind the brand, and it's weird to come in front of the brand. So I'm slowly stepping out. So you'll go. I think I have like 4 followers, but Nora Neiterman. At Nora Neiterman.
Okay, we'll put it in the show notes so that
I
people
can't
can find
promise you what is going to be up there because it's going to just like kind of develop and flow. But I wanted to have a place where I could be more just me and not my brand.
Yes.
Like,
Yep.
so, yeah.
Totally.
But I am so grateful for you having me. This is my first podcast.
Really?
Yes.
Oh my God, you did great.
My first podcast, and I just can't think of a better person to do it with. I mean, we have a lot of like-minded things, and I love what you've created and your whole essence and energy here. It just, you just walk in and you feel like there's an energy and a vibration, and I'm just so happy to be part of it.
Thank you. That
You're
really
welcome.
means a lot to me. And yeah, so maybe stay tuned. We might have another podcast coming.
Yes.
But yeah, it was my pleasure to have you. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Bye.